I'm talking to the recent winners of the startup battlefield for a conversation about what it's like to build a startup in today's climate. So, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Robbie Bastami, Biotics AI, Sheba Dawood, and Aaron Hall. Round of applause, everybody. Now, I'm back in the old seat of interviewing, thank goodness, back where I belong. Let's do a quick rundown, starting with you, Sheba. Minerva Lithium. Now, for those of you who don't know, lithium is obviously a very rare material, but it's so hard to get to in the first place. What you're working on is really quite fascinating because you're drawing lithium out from all of the existing products that we've got already. Tell us a little bit more about what you're doing.
Thank you. Minerva Lithium, basically we are focusing on extraction of lithium from different water and wastewater resources. And currently in US we have, domestically we do not have enough resources, but there are also present in oil field brines and also in some of the salar brines. So we are developing a technology using nanotechnology, and which is used to kind of make material like sponge-like material. You put the sponge in the water and it just extracts lithium out of it.
When you say, now I don't really have difficulty understanding brine. When you say brine, what do you mean by brine?
So brines are like salt water, right, and it contains different...
And this is from waste product, from an industrial process? Or?
Yeah, like if we can, to be very precise and to be clear, I would say like oil field brines. So for every 1 barrel of oil, you get 10 barrels of water, and that is referred as brines, like oil field brines. So those has lithium in it, and you're literally disposing of your gold. Right. So that's where Minerva is trying to kind of get to that space and extract lithium from that.
Right, we're going to come back to how you've been getting on. We'll just work our way through now. Robbie Bastami from Biotics AI. Now, this is an AI-based platform that plugs into an ultrasound machine. Now, there have been a few companies that have tried to sort of do other things with ultrasound, but you're doing something very interesting, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're focused on anomalies in pregnancy care.
Right.
So what we focused on specifically were the 90% of abnormalities that are screened for using ultrasound. And unfortunately today, half of patients in the developed world with a fetal malformation are misdiagnosed because of errors made by ultrasound operators. So our goal is to augment every ultrasound machine with our AI platform, which will process the ultrasound screening to make sure patients are getting diagnostically accurate screenings.
Well, that's really quite transformative, especially for people's lives. I mean, and we're talking about something the most precious thing in the world, a baby.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. I mean, and at the end of the day, everything really starts with ultrasound. You want to make sure that both the mother and the baby are healthy. And if you don't have diagnostically accurate screenings, well, then interventions can't be made, care can't be made. So everything comes down to making sure that patients are getting all of the information that they need for a healthy journey.
Exactly. And if you haven't sort of gathered so far, I mean, you can tell that a lot of the startup battlefield has trended towards very deep tech in the last couple of years, and no less so within Tripit, which has a set of enzymes which can be added to plastics at the very beginning of their life cycle before it's even turned into a product. So, but what's the significance of that?
Yeah, it's really significant. I would not be surprised if every single person who is watching this threw away some plastic today. And that plastic is building up in our environment, and it's breaking down very slowly into microplastics and nanoplastics that are starting to be found in our bodies, in our babies, in our brains, and they're having really detrimental effects on our society. And so our technology, by embedding these enzymes in the plastic, we're building in a self-destruct switch so that the plastics actually completely degrade down to benign small molecules at the end of their life. And that really helps address this challenge while still being market viable in the over $600 billion plastics industry.
Now, it's been very difficult for sometimes for startups to get involved in these big industrial processes. What's your journey been like?
Yeah, it's interesting. So we're first pulling from billions of years of evolution from Mother Nature and using those enzymes to do the work. So we're not having to reinvent everything here. But we did have to go and do research, and this is where my PhD came in from UC Berkeley, where we developed basically PPE for these enzymes that lets us take them out of cells and then bring them inside the materials. And as we've thought about how to strategically introduce this into the market, we did a couple of things to your point of how difficult it is. One, we're used at a very low usage level, so 1% or less. Two, we've designed our process to be compatible with existing infrastructure, which is really important to save on costs.
Yeah.
And three is scale. We can go into the existing manufacturing infrastructure, so our scale journey should be a lot easier.
Well, you're all doing very different things, but let's now hear the journey that you've been on. Obviously, Startup Battlefield alumni. Starting with you, first of all, Sheba, you know, what was it like being in Startup Battlefield, and what's happened since to the company? Was it a good thing for the company? Was it so-so, or what's the journey been like?
I would say that after Startup Battlefield, everything has changed because, to be very honest, our company is in Greensboro in North Carolina. It's not somewhere in Silicon Valley where people would know what we are doing. So when I came here, I was just believing in the process, not really the result. But it definitely changed. It was transformative. The momentum began. People began to know who we are. So we come from UNCG University with my PhD degree, and from where we spinned off this company. So definitely, people got to know who we are and what we are doing. And right now, like I said, East Coast is kind of like a bit later than West Coast this side. So we were at right place, right time, and even there was a lot of EV coming into North Carolina and a lot of interest from the auto industry and EV industry. So I would say that it was a great thing that happened to us, and but it also helped us to kind of address some of the challenges that we had. Yes, we are kind of working on this product, but what next? So, transitioning, into the phase of commercialization, and that's where we were able to do due diligence and strategically position ourselves to secure about $1 million and kind of fill in those critical gaps like techno-economic analysis, pre-feasibility studies. So that is something we were able to pull it off.
Right. So that was something that you got out of the battlefield that you probably might not have got otherwise. Robbie, tell us about you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think very similar in terms of the amount of awareness that comes into the problem that you're solving, the technology that you're building. Going into TechCrunch Startup Battlefield, we had in that demo you can see actually we mentioned that we primarily had bootstrapped the project up until then, and then all of a sudden we had a lot of outreach from obviously investors like VCs and family offices and angels, but outside of that, we also saw a lot of outreach from obstetricians. We found out that actually obstetricians were sharing our demo and our article within their circles. And we had physicians reaching out to us, asking to work with us, potentially invest in us, and so forth. And since then, we've been able to really hone in and really build out a clinical team that helped us finalize our FDA clinical study results for a submission that's gearing up very
So do you
very
think
soon.
it sort of acted as a bit of an accelerant to what you were doing?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, we were able to recruit 11 OBGYNs from across the nation to work with us on our clinical study. We finalized our results where we actually validated the efficacy of our algorithms across 25,000 different ultrasound images, 3 different ultrasound machine manufacturers. And to get to that point within just a year, I mean, the demo that we did and winning Startup Battlefield really helped us in getting the individuals.
What do you know? Obstetricians watching Startup Battlefield.
I know, right?
Well,
yeah, that totally surprised.
It's obviously word gets around, like obviously in that industry. I mean, and finally, and also Aaron in Tropic, what's happened since? Give us an update.
Yeah, it's really been fantastic, and I think the experience of being in Battlefield, this was my first actual pitch in public, and first time pitching on stage. I founded this company in 2020 during the pandemic, and so to get out there and actually showcase us in this environment was wonderful. Since then, we've really made a lot of progress. At the time, it was just 2 of us. There's now 6 people on the team. We just signed our first 2 customers last month, and we're working on signing that third one, just waiting on some finalized paperwork with a lot more in the pipeline. So really excited about that growth journey. We've scaled 1,000 times our synthesis processes in-house, which is what's enabling us to do these pilots and continue to grow. And I think one thing that was really special was I actually learned a lot about myself. Coming out of a PhD, being really a technical person, I studied material science and engineering, to now leading the company, this was a chance for me to get out onto the stage and really share the story and communicate. And I think it really resonated. I, like the others, had an amazing amount of inbound interest, not only from VCs, but also from companies across the CPG space, plastic space, and other areas. And also actual people, just normal people reaching out and providing encouragement and saying thank you for the work you're doing to try to address some of these real challenging problems. And that is really special because I think all of us want to build products that actually make the world better and impact people's lives. And so to know that people care is really, really validating. And I can't imagine a better way to have started that part of the journey than being here at that time.
Marvelous. And it's great that and it is quite an achievement to get to that late stage of Battlefield. And finally, each of you, where are you? What is the next phase? What are you looking for? Are you after partners, customers, funding? Starting with you, Aaron.
Sure. Yeah, so we are absolutely open to doing pilots. So for those who make products out of plastics, we would love to hear from you, and we'd love to help support your journey in becoming more sustainable and having a better impact on this planet. And we're also closing out a fundraising round. So there's still a bit of room in there. So for any investors who want to participate, please reach out. We'd love to chat and see if you could be part of this journey with us.
Robbie.
Yeah, absolutely. As I mentioned, we finalized all critical work for our FDA submission, so we're gearing up for sales in 2025. We have 10 health systems within our pipeline right now. We just signed on our first subscription agreement. So obviously obstetricians, people that work within innovation departments at health systems would love to chat with. And we're also gearing up to launch our next round early next year and would love to talk to investors within this space.
Fantastic. Shiva.
Yeah, so I would say that we made quite a progress. Right now we have about 12 employees, and then we have done pre-feasibility studies and also economic analysis. And I believe that critical mineral industry is very geopolitically complex, and that's where I'm looking for strategic partnership because in US, EV industry is something that, that has to grow, but there is a huge IRA compliance factor there. So definitely I'm looking for strategic partnership and any investors that are interested, because we are also doing fundraising round and will be closing within like 5 months.
Yes, and obviously, you do have to have those partners who can pass that IRA kind of compliance level, don't you? And we've only got a couple minutes left. What advice would you give to a company or a founder going into this kind of process? And there are obviously lots of other conferences, but obviously I'm biased because I think that Disrupt is the best, and Battlefield is such a rigorous process that startups go through. But what sort of advice would you give to a founder going into it? Would you say sort of, just go with everything, or do you have any thoughts, Robbie?
Yeah, so I think the biggest piece of advice I would give is, at the end of the day, this is a recorded demo of your solution. You're showcasing all of your work, and it's on a huge platform, arguably the largest technology platform. So definitely using that as a point to make sure you have this recorded piece of PR that you can use when you're recruiting new engineers onto your team, when you are talking to potential customers, and obviously for investors. So really making sure that you're honing in, have this incredible demo, and you're putting your best foot forward and showcasing your company.
That's the iconic demo, isn't it? Shiva, what would you say?
I would say a startup founder has to be flexible enough to pivot with the market, because there's a lot of market transitions that are taking place, AI that is coming in, and we all are seeing, I don't see any hard tech right now here, but including that into your technology, going along with the market analysis and competition, being really flexible. And like I said, like days are long, but years are short. That's what we are. That's what a founder has to work for. So really, like running the race, not giving up, and keep up with the competition, and be really flexible to pivot and get the opportunities.
Yeah, you really do have to. Sometimes you actually have to change what you're saying during the process. How about you, Aaron?
Yeah, I think one of the things that's really important is, a lot of the things that come up on this stage are incredibly technical and they really solve deep challenges, but you have to remember that your audience is not coming with that same background. And so making it understandable, making it digestible, touching people where it really touches their lives and touches their emotions, I think really is going to be critical and is a critical part of the entire startup journey. It's oftentimes easier for technologists to share that technical data, but really embracing the rest of that messaging is important. And this stage and these kinds of stages are a great opportunity to amplify the whole picture and the whole study. And so I think that would be the thing that I would encourage founders to do.
I thoroughly agree, and I think it's that storytelling piece, isn't it? So important to get people involved, and certainly something that we try to strive for in our journalism. But ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have time for this Battlefield update. Please thank Robbie Bastami from Biotics AI, Aaron Hall from Entropic Materials, and Sheba Dawood from Minerva Lithium. And from me, Mike. Bye.